Hey everybody, welcome to a brand new chapter of Old Man Brad. Whether you are new to the show or returning for another episode, thank you so much for giving me a listen. If you love the show, drop me a review over on your favorite podcatcher, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Good Pods, whatever it might be. I would love to hear what you think of the show. Next week, we get The Strangers Chapter 1, which will be the next chapter of Old Man Brad. I'm going to talk about that film. So this week, I wanted to go back, give myself a refresher on The Strangers and The Strangers Pray at Night. So this week I'm just going to give my thoughts on my rewatches of both of those films. Before we move into that, though, I want to tell you to tune in to the live stream for The Cure, May 29th to June 1st. This is an amazing event with content creators from around the world helping raise money for cancer research. My segment will be May 30th at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Going to be doing some Tubi games with some friends, so make sure you tune into that. But tune into the whole event, May 29th to June 1st on twitch.tv/livestream for The Cure. I'll have links in the description, not only to that, but early donations are being accepted. Let's help raise money for cancer research, because fuck cancer. It's time to roll into my first film, The Strangers.
I just want to tell you something.
What do you want to tell me?
You are my girl.
I love you, Jimmy.
What is that?
It's okay, there's nothing here. I haven't heard a dog bark or a car pass. Nothing.
There's someone out there.
A young couple staying in an isolated vacation home are terrorized by 3 unknown assailants. So The Strangers came out in 2008. It was directed and written by Brian Bertino, starring Scott Speedman and Liv Tyler. This is a film that I missed seeing in the theater. I didn't see it until after the fact. It did pretty well. I think it made like $50 million on just a $9 million budget. So it did pretty well. The first time I saw this, I fell in love with it. It was one of those, I watched it late at night. I was by myself, and this movie is just creepy. It is tense. There are just so many great scenes and great shots in this film, especially one of them, the man in the mask. You've seen it in the trailers where Liv Tyler's in a kitchen and you kind of just see him in the background. She doesn't even know he's there. There's just a lot of that great stuff. The one thing this movie does is it plays a lot with sound. You hear noises. You start off with the noise right off the back, someone banging on your door late at night. Is Tamara here? And they're in the dark, you can't see him. It's setting up that shit's gonna happen here soon. And when it does, it isn't like some of the movies you see now where it's just like all out action throughout the film. I do love that this kind of just takes its time. Little things happen along the way. Knocking on the door, boyfriend leaves, and there's noises. There's the writing on the windows and things just being moved in the house out of place, like a smoke alarm getting moved from where she left it, phones disappearing, and different things, just these strangers just toying with this couple. Then you ultimately get to the moment we all know, we've seen it in the trailers. They ask, "Why are you doing this to us?" And the response is, "Because you were home." That's all of this is. Because you were home, we decided to fuck with you and kill you. On this rewatch, a couple years since I've watched it. I've always enjoyed this movie. But watching it again, it just solidified how much I truly do love this movie. How great it is. It's simplistic in its setup. It's one location, 2 people, 3 mass killers. Some other people kind of pop in. It's so good. In the end, when the strangers are driving away, the thing that kind of got me this time, and I paid attention to it more as I was watching, one of the strangers, Dollface, says to, I think they call her pinup girl, as they're leaving, next time it will be easier. So this is very much setting up that they were still in the early moments, or this might have been one of the first times that they've done this. Because especially if you watch the pinup girl throughout, she is a little more timid with what she does with the people, whereas Dollface she doesn't care. She just basically she's playing with her. This is like a game for her. She's playing with them. She's enjoying this. The man in the mask doesn't say anything. He very much kind of wheezes. They have this sound where, especially at the end, he's just standing there, but he's breathing, and it's like this wheeze. So it's like kind of thing going on. So obviously there's more to him that we don't know. We never see their faces, even they take off their masks at one point, but it's cut to where you don't see their faces. That is another thing that really kind of sets up this whole situation, is not seeing faces, not knowing what is going to happen or what's going on. It is a solid film. Great score. This is a movie that is on a rotation of watches. I probably watch it every few years. I love it. And so when they announced The Strangers Chapter 1, I was hesitant. Seeing the trailers, I'm still a little hesitant. I don't want it to be a remake, but there are a lot of things that very much set up that. I would love to see it be, I don't know if it is. I've kind of looked to see if it tells me. We'll find out when I see the movie, if it's a kind of a setup between this first one and what we get with The Strangers Pray at Night. I would love it to be kind of that in-between chapter, because when we get to the next movie, there's a lot more to it. With that, let's roll into The Strangers Pray at Night.
This place seems empty.
I think everybody leaves after Labor Day.
This is nice, right?
There's someone else staying here?
Is Tamara home?
I think you have the wrong trailer.
I thought we were all alone. What the hell? Dad?
A family of 4 staying at a secluded mobile home park for the night are stalked and hunted by 3 masked psychopaths. So The Strangers Pray at Night, directed by Johannes Roberts, came out in 2018, so 10 years after the original film, which is kind of shocking. I think there was a sequel that was being worked on after that first one, because it was fairly successful, that it took 10 years to finally get a sequel to that original one. Brian Bertino returns as a writer. It stars Christina Hendricks, Martin Henderson, Bailey Madison, Louis Pullman. This kind of steps it up a notch. The first time I saw The Strangers Pray at Night, I was very mixed on it when I first saw it. It didn't do as well in the theater. I didn't see this one in the theater either. Even after the excitement I had of the first one, I didn't rush out to go see this one. This film is very much takes the 80s masked killer feel and puts the strangers in that. It gives it more of a straight up slasher movie. So this movie starts, it's a family, they're taking their daughter to a boarding school. So they're packing up, they're leaving. And what I love at the beginning of this, they're packing up the car, and it is the behind them, it is the city of Cincinnati. The background, they're across the river in Kentucky. So you see the river, you see Cincinnati, because a lot of this film was filmed out in this area. And I was like, oh, look at that, Cincinnati. It never states exactly where they are in this film. If you know the area, you'll pick it out. A lot of differences. It still sets up the chase. It still sets up, they're messing with these people in the trailer park. This one plays a lot more musically. Like the first one, I didn't mention, it does have music. There are records, but it's like older songs that they're using. This one uses a lot of 80s songs, so it feels like it's part of that time period, and music just plays with these three strangers that are killing these people. So instead of one house location, this one takes it to a full trailer park. Nobody is at the trailer park, which is weird. This could have been just a balls to the wall, like full the strangers are just slaughtering people if you would have had more people in the trailer park. But it was just their aunt and uncle, I think it was, that owns the trailer park. They get killed in the beginning of the movie. And then they come and nobody else is there. This park is empty. It's just them. This, you can tell the strangers are a little more comfortable with what they're doing. They're there to fuck with people and kill them. They're not as timid. I mean, Dollface still messes with them, knocking on the door. Is Tamara home? Just to get them, like, worked up. Pinup Girl, she really kind of toys with them a little more. There's a great scene of her coming out of the shadows at this girl, and she's just fucking with him. You have a full trailer park to play with. You can tell that the strangers have done this before, and many times before, because there's no hesitation in anything along the way. And I said that I didn't enjoy this one, or was very mixed on it when I first saw it. And I think it's because of there's this chase scene towards the end with the truck. There's a fire, there's music, and there were some scenes that just kind of didn't hit for me the first time that I watched it. I've watched it. This is probably the third or fourth time I've seen the movie now. Each time it gets better for me. And so if I give the first one a 4, I give that one a 4 out of 5. This one sits about a 3.5. It's not as good as the first, but I watched both of these back to back. And watching them back to back this time, I was like, okay, there are a lot of similarities between the two films. This one takes it a step further. I love the play with music. There's one scene in a pool that is awesome. It's a chase around a pool, and they get in the pool, and there's music playing. Whenever the kid goes underwater, you still hear the music blasting, but it gets all muffled, and it comes up, and the music's good. It gets all muffled. He's running from the man in the mask, and it's just a great just shot scene. It's lit like neon lights, fake palm trees, and everything else, and it's such a strong piece of the movie. But overall, I actually really, really enjoy The Strangers Prey at Night now. This has become part of a regular rotation with the first one. The ending, there's an ending scene that 100% inspired by the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, her in a truck screaming. If you watch the movie, see the scene, you'll know what I mean. If you've seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you can put the two together. The score, it is a good score. There's some great 80s music, but there is some similarities in this score with the main theme of the score. And I had to really sit and listen as I was watching it this time. I was like, there are pieces of this that sound so familiar to me. And I finally picked it up. The movie Dead Silence, James Wan's Dead Silence, the theme from that and then the theme from this are very, very close to each other. If you have seen Dead Silence, which came out before this, and then watch this, listen to the music of both if it's something you're into. They are very, very similar to each other. Completely different composers, but the music is very similar. The Strangers Prey at Night. I love both these movies. Would highly, highly recommend checking them out if you've never seen them. I cannot wait to see The Strangers Chapter 1, what they do with this. Like I said, I hope it's kind of an in-between. I hope this is The Strangers after the first movie, but before Pray at Night. So this is kind of them honing their skills, I guess, their kill skills, kind of doing it again to somebody to get down what they want to do to people. Like this toying, this fucking with them, this, knocking on the door just because you're here kind of thing. I hope that's what The Strangers Chapter 1 is. And this next series of movies is a trilogy. It's directed by Rennie Harlan, and he said basically it's kind of like a 4.5 hour movie that each chapter is kind of like the first, second, and third act of it. So I'm excited to see how they do it, how they craft everything. Chapter 1 comes out, like I said, next week. I will have a Chapter 1 review. Chapter 2 comes out later this year. And then we're getting Chapter 3, I think, sometime next year. Before I leave, I have, besides The Strangers, which are both streaming on Max right now. If you want to watch them, both of them are streaming there. I have, let's just say, 2 other movies that you can check out at home besides these 2. Abigail just came to VOD. And this is one I missed in the theater. Vampires and heists and everything else. I'm not going to say much more than that, because if you've never seen the trailer, don't watch the trailer before watching this movie. Just go check it out. It is an absolute blast. This is from Radio Silence. They also did Scream 5 and 6 and Ready or Not. I had so much fun with this movie. But don't watch a trailer if you haven't for Abigail. Just go watch the movie, because there is kind of a twist in it that would play so much better if you don't see the trailer. Other one is Death Race 2000 from 1975. This is produced by Roger Corman. Roger Corman just passed away this week. He is a pioneer in the B-movie world. Many, many, many films that he has directed, produced. He had roles in a lot. So this week I have been watching some Roger Corman films. Corman films I have never seen. Death Race 2000 was one of them. It's one of those I've seen tons of clips for it, so I felt like I knew the movie. But watching it, I didn't know the movie. I was completely off on everything. Really enjoyed it. Sylvester Stallone in it. David Carradine. Such a fun movie. Go check out Death Race 2000. It was streaming on Tubi. Well, that will do it for another chapter of Old Man Brad. Just make sure you subscribe, and you'll never miss any episodes that come out, whether it is Old Man Brad or Tales from Tubi or whatever it may be. And go visit my friends at the Esquire Theater. Third Friday of every month, I do a Frightful Friday screening. So we play a horror movie. We've done a ton of movies, and everybody just has a blast every time they come out. But come out to the Esquire, third Friday of the month. Let's watch a movie together. Well, thanks again for listening. Just snuggle up in that blanket, turn off the lights, because it's okay to be scared. We'll talk to you later, everybody.